So I want you to picture this. It is exactly 3 a.m. on Black Friday back in 2016.
Okay.
And we are not talking about, people lined up outside a big box store waiting to buy a cheap television.
Right, right.
No, we are in the really small, super quiet town of Benson, North Carolina. And the streets are just pitch black. The air is absolutely freezing. I mean, the town is practically a ghost town at this hour.
Oh, yeah. Completely dead.
Exactly. And in the local police department parking lot, there are a couple of officers just sitting in their cruisers. They're, finishing up some routine paperwork, just enjoying the quiet of the night.
Just a standard night shift.
Yeah. And then out of that frigid darkness, two men just casually stroll right up to the windows of the cruisers.
And they don't run up. They just walk right out of the shadows, completely unhurried, like it's nothing.
Right. Their names are Julian Vase Jr. and Jeremy Carpenter. And the thing you really have to understand here is they aren't panicked at all.
Not at all.
They aren't out of breath. They aren't screaming for help. They just calmly explain to the officers that they need a locksmith.
A locksmith at 3 a.m.
Yeah. They say they're just passing through on their way back up to Minnesota for a construction job, but they've been locked out of their car. Which is, such a remarkably mundane request for that time of night.
It really is. But underneath that incredibly casual demeanor is a completely chilling reality.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the third man they were traveling with, the guy who was literally just driving their car minutes prior, has completely vanished into the night.
Just gone.
Yeah. And what's fascinating here is that this bizarre late-night parking lot encounter is actually the entry point into the disappearance of 22-year-old Christopher Cole Thomas.
Right.
And analyzing the source material for this deep dive reveals a truly terrifying dynamic. We are looking at what happens when the only witnesses to a potential crime are, like, the exact same people who are actively trying to cover it up. You're dealing with narrators who hold all the cards, right?
Yeah.
And your only weapon to fight back is the silent data they leave behind in their wake.
Yeah, we really have to look at the story Julian and Jeremy initially fed to the police that night.
The initial lie.
Right, the lie. They claimed their friend Cole was driving, but out of nowhere, he just started acting highly paranoid.
And paranoid, sure.
Yeah. They say he abruptly slammed on the brakes, pulled the car over, ripped the keys out of the ignition, threw them into the dark, and then just jumped out of the car and sprinted off into the pitch black night.
And keep in mind the geography here, because that's important. Cole is originally from rural Florida.
Right.
He doesn't know Benson, North Carolina. It is
Yeah.
a town he has never been to, in a state he doesn't live in the absolute dead of night.
Right. And then Julian vaguely suggests to the cops, almost like this calculated afterthought, that he heard rumors Cole might have some mental health struggles.
Just planting that seed.
Exactly. Planting that seed of doubt super early on. But look at how these two so-called friends actually react to their buddy running off into an unknown freezing town.
They don't react at all.
They don't. They don't form a search party. They don't start shouting his name. They just wait for a locksmith who, ironically enough, finds the keys right underneath the car.
Of course he does.
Yeah. And then they file this super quick missing persons report with the local police, and then they literally just get in the car and drive back to Minnesota.
Because they have to get back to their construction jobs on Monday, right?
Yeah.
So they just abandon him. That is the timeline they expect everyone to just, accept.
It is the absolute ultimate violation of the buddy system. I mean, it's like going scuba diving, watching your partner swim into a dark, unmapped cave, and deciding to just head back to the boat for the buffet instead of swimming after them or getting help.
That's a great way to put it.
And the part that makes my blood absolutely boil, they never call his family.
No.
You report a guy missing to a random small-town cop,
Yeah.
but you don't pick up the phone to call his mom or dad to say, hey, your son just ran off into the woods.
Right. The silence there is the detail that just screams something is fundamentally wrong. I mean, imagine you are Cole's parents, Chris and Kathy, down in Florida.
Oh, man.
You are completely oblivious. You had just exchanged casual Thanksgiving text messages with Cole like a day earlier.
Right. Totally normal stuff.
Yeah, there was zero mention of a cross-country road trip to North Carolina. You don't even know he's in that state until Sunday when the Benson police call you out of the blue to say your son is missing.
Imagine picking up that phone call. The absolute reality-bending shock of that.
It's unthinkable.
But Cole's dad, Chris, he doesn't just freeze up. He immediately snaps into action.
Right.
Now, he doesn't know Julian or Jeremy, right? because Cole had only been working this Minnesota construction gig for about a month.
Pretty new job, yeah.
But Chris does know the name of Cole's boss, a guy named Steven. So Chris frantically tracks Steven down on Facebook and sends him this urgent message demanding he call immediately.
And the resulting phone call is where the bottom just completely falls out of the parents' world.
Yeah.
When Steven calls Chris, he opens by saying, oh, I've been trying to get a hold of you, which is highly unlikely given that Chris is very easy to find online.
Right. A total lie.
But Chris just listens, and Steven starts rambling wildly. He talks about a strip search, about Cole freaking out, and then he drops a sentence that no parent should ever, under any circumstances, have to hear.
Oh, this part is just brutal.
Steven bluntly says, I think they killed him.
I mean, you send your kid off to learn a trade, and a month later his boss tells you he's been murdered.
And then Steven reveals this was never a harmless holiday road trip. Julian and Jeremy drove all the way from Minnesota to North Carolina specifically to buy a large quantity of methamphetamine.
A meth run.
Yeah, a cross-country meth run. They met up with some very dangerous people in the local drug trade, and Steven tells the dad that something went horribly, violently wrong.
Just wow.
And if you analyze this from a psychological perspective, consider how a human brain processes that trauma.
It can't.
Right. In 1 second, your son is this smart, driven, former high school salutatorian who is just, taking a temporary break from college to learn a construction trade.
Yeah.
In the very next second, he is the victim of a cross-country drug cartel hit. It is a violent pivot from utter normalcy straight into a nightmare with absolutely no transition.
But Chris and Kathy, they don't collapse. They throw their belongings in a truck and drive straight to North Carolina.
Straight into the fire.
Exactly. And when they relay what Steven told them to the local authorities, the police finally realize they have been completely played by the two guys in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, the cops are mad now.
So the cops track Julian and Jeremy down and bring them back to North Carolina for a much more intense round of questioning.
Right.
Now, with the heat turned up, the guys admit, okay, yes, we went to a neighboring town called Mount Olive. We bought meth from two guys named Rudy and TJ.
They finally admit to the drugs.
Right, but they hold the line on the core story. They still insist Cole got paranoid and ran off alone.
But this is where the narrative shifts from human deception to technological truth.
Oh, I love this part.
Because human beings can sit in an interrogation room and lie all day long. They can match their stories, they can feign ignorance, but cameras are entirely impartial witnesses.
Yes, they are. And the police know they need more than just a gut feeling. And there is this local investigator, Captain Greg Percy, who basically becomes obsessed with this case. He brings hours and hours of surveillance footage home. He is literally sitting at his kitchen table in the middle of the night in December. His family is asleep, and he's just scrubbing through grainy video frame by frame.
Just brutal, tedious work.
Yeah. Eventually, he is looking at footage from a camera mounted outside of Walgreens in Benson. The camera's pointing at the pharmacy parking lot, but it catches a tiny, blurry sliver of a bank across the street. And at exactly 1:10 a.m., he sees a ghost.
He spots movement in the far distance, right on the edge of the frame.
Right. He zooms in, enhances it, and it's Cole.
Mm.
Cole is walking behind the bank.
Yeah.
But he's not sprinting into the woods in a paranoid frenzy, like they said.
No, he's walking.
And more importantly, he is not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Walking right behind him, keeping perfect pace, is Jeremy.
Which completely shatters the entire foundation of their 3 a.m. police report.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when the police slam this Walgreens footage down on the table in front of Jeremy, you would think the game is up, right?
You'd think so.
But no, his story magically evolves right on the spot. Confronted with undeniable proof that he was walking right behind Cole, Jeremy says, oh, right, I followed him to calm him down.
Sure you did.
Yeah. He claims they walked together to a nearby church. Then, he says Cole went behind the building to pee. And what does Jeremy say he did in that exact moment? He says he got down on his knees and started praying.
Praying. In the middle of an interstate meth smuggling operation.
Right. I cannot get past the sheer absurdity of this lie. He claims that while his eyes are closed in deep prayer, he hears a car door close.
Or gunshots, right.
Oh, right. Wait, he says maybe it was gunshots?
Yeah.
He tells the cops he isn't sure. But when he finishes praying and opens his eyes, Cole is just magically gone.
Oof. Vanished.
And then Jeremy says he was feeling thirsty because he's diabetic, so he just casually strolls over to a McDonald's for a cup of water at 2:20 a.m.
Which, incredibly, the police actually verify on the McDonald's interior surveillance footage.
Wait, really? The McDonald's part was true?
Yeah, and that McDonald's detail is absolutely crucial to understanding the psychology of a crumbling alibi.
How so?
When guilty people fabricate a story to cover up a crime, they almost never invent the entire narrative from scratch.
Because it's too hard to remember.
Exactly. Pure fiction is way too difficult for the brain to keep straight under pressure.
Yeah.
Instead, they sprinkle real, verifiable elements into a sea of fiction.
Ah, I see.
Jeremy really did go to McDonald's. The camera proves it. He strategically anchors his lie to that real, verifiable event to make the surrounding fiction, the spontaneous prayer session, the mysterious gunshots with his eyes closed, seem plausible to the detectives.
Man, that is so manipulative. But the physical footage of them walking behind the bank is honestly just the appetizer here.
It really is.
The digital forensics in this case are where the ultimate betrayal happens. Because when Julian and Jeremy were brought back to North Carolina for that second round of questioning, they did something that reveals a staggering level of hubris.
What did they do?
They casually handed over Cole's cell phone to the police.
Which means they had his device in their pockets the entire time.
Right. Wait, why on earth would you hand over the victim's phone if you were the one responsible for his disappearance? Would you just, throw it in a river?
You'd think. It speaks to a massive underestimation of modern technology. They likely thought, we didn't send any text messages about killing him, so the phone is clean.
Oh, they thought just deleting text was enough.
Exactly. They don't understand that a phone doesn't need to be actively used to tell a story. And this is where a private investigator hired by Cole's family, a man named David Marshburn, completely turns the case upside down.
Okay, I love this guy already.
He takes the raw cell phone data from everyone involved and dumps it into a forensic mapping app called Cellhawk.
Okay, so how does that actually work? Because we hear about cell tower pings on crime shows all the time, but what is Cellhawk actually mapping?
It's actually pretty simple. Think of your cell phone as a very needy digital pet.
Huh, okay.
Even when it is sitting in your pocket with the screen off, it is constantly reaching out, searching for a signal. Every few seconds, it is essentially shouting, "I'm here. Who's the closest cell tower?"
And the towers respond.
Right, the towers respond, and your phone logs that connection to ensure you can receive a call at a moment's notice. Cellhawk takes all those thousands of silent digital handshakes and triangulates them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it turns massive spreadsheets of data into a high-definition, minute-by-minute map of exactly who was where and when.
And the map Cellhawk generates tells a story that absolutely decimates their timeline.
Completely ruins it.
The data proves the drug deal happened at 11:38 p.m. in Mount Olive, just like they finally admitted.
Okay.
But here is the massive red flag. From 1:07 a.m. to 3:45 a.m., all three phones, Julian's, Jeremy's, and Cole's, do not move an inch. They are completely stationary in Benson.
Let that sink in for a second. They told the police at 3 a.m. that Cole had just run off with the keys. But Cole's phone was sitting right next to their phones the entire time they were talking to those officers.
It's insane. And then, right after Julian and Jeremy finished filing that missing person report, what happens? The stationary dots start moving.
Oh, of course.
Julian and Jeremy take Cole's phone, and they start driving back toward Mount Olive.
Which fundamentally contradicts their entire story. I mean, if your friend just had a mental breakdown and ran into the woods, and you were supposedly waiting for him to come back to the car, you don't take his only lifeline, his cell phone, away from the exact location he vanished from.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Just after 4 a.m., Cole's phone goes completely dark.
Shut off.
Yeah, it is manually cut off or destroyed.
Yeah.
But hours later, it unexpectedly turns back on deep in Wayne County, which happens to be exactly where the drug dealers live.
Wow.
And the absolute second that phone turns back on, Julian and Jeremy start repeatedly calling it from their own phones.
Oh, that's a classic staging technique.
Really?
Yes, they're creating a fake digital paper trail so they can later say, look at our call logs. We were desperately trying to reach him.
It is like an invisible ankle monitor they completely forgot they were wearing.
That's a great analogy.
They thought they were the sole narrators of this story.
Right.
They had no idea that Cole's phone was silently taking meticulous notes in their own pockets the entire night, just recording every single lie.
Right, and once the location data exposes the lie, the entire focus of the investigation shifts from what happened to why it happened.
The motive.
Exactly. And PI David Marshburn develops a deeply chilling theory based on the cell movements and his own quiet infiltration of this local drug network. He suspects a double cross.
Okay, so I'm a little confused by this part of the theory.
Mm.
If Julian is the one setting up the deal to buy the meth, Why would he coordinate an ambush on his own vehicle? I mean, how does he make any money if he gets robbed?
It's a brilliant, if, completely ruthless scam. Marshburn believes Julian's plan was never to just buy the meth and split the profits fairly with his coworkers back in Minnesota.
Oh, so he was greedy.
Highly greedy. He suspects Julian secretly coordinated with the dealers, Rudy and his guys. The theory is that Julian arranged to buy the drugs with the pooled money and then tipped off Rudy's crew to ambush them on the drive back to steal the drugs back.
Wait, steal the drugs back.
Right. By doing this, Rudy gets to keep the drugs and sell them twice. Julian gets a massive secret cut of the money from Rudy for setting up the heist. And to his coworkers, Julian just looks like a fellow victim of a random highway robbery.
That is incredibly devious. But there was a flaw in the plan, wasn't there?
A huge flaw.
Because Julian had only known Cole for a month on this construction site. He looked at Cole, a pre-med white kid from rural Florida, and made this arrogant assumption. He assumed Cole only spoke English.
Right.
But Cole actually knew a good bit of Spanish.
And that is the hidden advantage that changes the entire complexion of that night.
Did this hidden skill actually seal his fate? I mean, imagine being Cole in that car. Did he overhear Julian and Rudy discussing this violent double-cross in Spanish during the drug deal?
It's very possible.
Did the realization suddenly wash over him that he wasn't just a hired driver, but the unwitting getaway guy in a staged armed robbery?
That changes everything.
It really does. That would entirely explain why he was driving frantically, why he slammed on the brakes, why he was genuinely terrified, and why he pulled the car over and ran.
He wasn't having a paranoid breakdown, He was trying to save his own life.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to look at the fate of the missing drugs. Right, because someone has to pay for them.
Exactly. During that frantic, terrifying drive, it is highly likely that either Cole or Jeremy tossed the meth out the window in a panic.
Oh, man.
And in the illicit drug world, missing product isn't a write-off. It equals a lethal bet. Suddenly, the double cross goes wrong, the drugs are gone, the money is gone, and someone has to pay for it with their life.
Which leads to a desperate, agonizing scramble by the investigators and Cole's family to get someone, anyone, to break their silence.
Oh, and us to talk.
Right. So P.I. Marshburn tracks down another guy connected to the dealers, a local guy who goes by Gordo.
Okay.
And Gordo actually admits to Marshburn that he was called in to track Cole down that night.
He admits it.
He does, but his story shifts wildly depending on who is asking. First, he says Cole willingly got into his car to escape the cold. Then he changes it and says they threatened Cole with a gun. Then he changes it again, claiming they hit Cole with a baseball bat and threw him in the trunk.
Classic misdirection. But words are cheap without evidence. When police finally secure a warrant to search Gordo's car, they literally tear it apart. They swab for DNA, they look for microscopic blood spatter, they hunt for any forensic evidence that matches his violent stories.
And what do they find?
Absolutely nothing definitive. It's just another dead end constructed entirely out of lies.
Which pushes Cole's dad to make what has to be the most heartbreaking, desperate tactical move I have ever heard of in a true crime case.
It really is.
Chris, the father, actually dips into his own pockets and puts up his own money to pay the bail bond for TJ onto the drug dealers who was arrested on lesser charges.
It is a massive emotional gamble, but it relies on a well-known psychological concept in interrogations, the prisoner's dilemma.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Right. When you have 4 suspects who share a deadly secret, their strength relies on their collective silence. But if you can pull one suspect out of the pack, remove him from the physical influence and intimidation of the other men, paranoia starts to set in.
So they think he's going to flip.
Exactly. You isolate him in the hopes that he will talk just to save himself before the others do.
Just imagine the sheer, agonizing courage it takes for a father to walk into a bondsman's office and hand over a stack of his hard-earned cash to free a man who very likely helped murder his son.
Unimaginable.
All for just a sliver of the truth. So they get TJ out on bail, and they bring in Cole's mom, Kathy.
Wow.
She sits down with TJ in a room, not as an aggressive interrogator,
Right.
but mother to mother. She appeals directly to his humanity, laying bare the absolute agony their family is drowning in.
Yeah.
She begs him to just tell her where her boy is. You can almost feel the shift in the room.
Yeah.
TJ finally breaks, but only just enough to look at her and say, "He's gone, y'all."
That is just, it is the absolute worst confirmation a parent can hear, the confirmation they always dreaded.
Yeah.
But legally speaking, it still isn't a location. It isn't a body. It isn't a detailed confession. It isn't nearly enough for a homicide conviction.
And that brings us to the incredibly tragic limbo of where this case stands today. 4 men were initially charged with concealing a death and obstruction of justice, but eventually the state completely dropped all those charges.
Which sounds like a total defeat, but you have to understand the legal mechanism at play here.
Right, because it's not actually a defeat, is it?
No, it is a highly strategic move by the prosecution regarding double jeopardy laws.
Okay, explain that.
It's like playing high-stakes poker with a terrible hand. You know you are currently holding losing cards because you don't have a body.
No body, no murder charge.
Right. If you go to trial on a lesser charge like manslaughter right now and the jury acquits them, double jeopardy attaches. You can never, ever charge them with murder later, even if you find Cole's remains tomorrow.
Oh, I see.
So the prosecution folds the hand, they drop the lesser charges so they can keep their chips, hoping to play a winning hand of first-degree murder if the body is ever found.
But time is the enemy of justice. In 2024, Jeremy Carpenter passed away, taking whatever he really saw that night and whatever secrets he was hiding straight to his grave.
Leaving the family and the investigators still just waiting in the dark.
You know, sitting here looking at all the data, the cell tower logs, the surveillance footage. So what does this all mean? It means someone out there still knows exactly where Cole Thomas is.
Oh, absolutely.
They know the coordinates, but they are stubbornly holding out, gritting their teeth against a mountain of digital data that already proves to the world they are lying.
It brings up a paradox that is incredibly unique to our modern age, something that goes far beyond just this one case.
What do you mean?
Well, we talk all the time about the permanence of the internet, right? About the right to be forgotten. We spend our entire lives generating this indestructible digital ghost. Our texts, our GPS pings, our surveillance footage.
Right. We leave a massive footprint.
Exactly. This data is immortal. It lives forever in servers and cell towers. And yet, despite leaving behind this permanent, high-definition digital trail, the actual physical human being can still be violently erased without a trace.
That is terrifying.
We have built a world where it is basically impossible to delete your data, but shockingly easy to vanish your physical body.
Because at the end of the day, a cell phone ping can tell you that a car stopped moving. A security camera can show you a ghost walking behind a bank in the freezing cold. But until the people who are actually standing there decide to finally break their silence, you are still just staring into a pitch-black cave wondering what really happened in the dark.